Hi guys, it's me, Melissa. I'm going to do another deck today. Today I'm going to do the Literary Witch's Oracle. And there's the box. Let me fix this camera because I'm holding the box way up. Okay, that looks better. Okay, this is written by, and I hope I say her name right, Taisia Kitaiskaia, and the illustrations are done by Katie Horan. Discover divination using the magic of literary genius. Unearth the wisdom of the witchiest women in literary history and let their brilliance illuminate your path. Drawn from the book Literary Witches, a celebration of magical women writers. The cards in this oracle deck bear portraits of powerful female authors and mystical spell ingredients, both full of symbolism meant to nourish the witch that lives within you. This was by Clark Potter. Illustrations, Random House, Penguin Random House, New York. And I love the box on this. It's a nice hard box. The colors, the images on here are wonderful. The drawings are wonderful. I just love this deck. And as you can see, I love books. So when I saw this deck, I was like, oh, I have to have it. So here is the guidebook. It's just a little thin guidebook. It doesn't even have page numbers, but I would say maybe 40 pages. And it comes with the little pull. You just pull the cards out. It's quite a few cards here. And this beautiful box. So let's look through the book here. It's a 70 card deck and guidebook. And it tells you a little bit about the Literary Witch's Oracle, the reading of the cards, single card daily layout. It gives you some examples. 3-card layout, past, future, present. As you explore the deck, remember to make experience your own. And then it goes right into the witches. And it has a little write-up on each of the writers. Now, there are some few in here that I do not know. And there are some in here that I have done extensive reading on. And there are some that I really want to do some reading on. So here are the backs of the cards. They're gorgeous. I love the white with the black background on these. And I'll do a little reading of some of these people. Anna, and I do not know how to say her name. I've never heard of her. It's Akhmatova, Akamatova, I believe is how you say it. And under her it says endurance. I love these cards. It says staying with pain, avoiding pain, patience. It says Anna Akhmatova was celebrated during and beyond her lifetime for her lyric, melancholy poetry. A Russian fell under Stalin. Akhmatova and her circle of artists and intellectuals were persecuted for their work. Her son was imprisoned and sent to the labor camps, and her husband was executed. Akitomova's most famous poem, Requiem, is her boldest attempt at capturing the satanic terror. I have to read that. One of my favorites, Emily Bronte. Fantasy, dwelling, indulging, hiding in fantasy. She was only 30 years old when she passed. Emily Bronte, 1818 to 1848, spent her uneventful life at the family home on the moors. She created fantasy worlds with her brilliant sisters, Charlotte and Anne, brushed the carpet, and took walks in the hills. After her death of tuberculosis at the age of 30, she achieved fame for Wuthering Heights, a vicious novel of romance between two isolated, stormy characters, Catherine and Heathcliff. Octavia E. Butler. Another great one. The future. Imagination, planning, worrying about the future. Octavia E. Butler, the daughter of a housekeeper and a shoe shiner, was a pioneer in the little white and male-dominated gender of science fiction. She received a MacArthur Fellowship for her dark, philosophical novels and stories, which feature black female protagonists and explore power dynamics among sexes, races, and species. Excuse me. Annie Carson, The Intellect. A prolific writer of poems, essays, and various literary hybrids. Works with themes of lost family members, love and lust, religion, and the intellectual tradition. The combination of this MacArthur Fellowship recipient, austerities, startles insights, and relentless questioning is as awe-inspiring and explosive as the volcanoes she has been known to paint. Carson is also a scholar of ancient Greek and Latin texts and a companion of fellow witches, having translated Safrole and written about Emily Bronte and Virginia Woolf. Angela Carter. Identity. Investigating identity, roles, who you are. The feminist fairy tale Angela Carter, which drew on stories like Little Red Riding Hood and Beauty of the Beast, are tapestries depicting sexual violent scenes ornamented with symbols and adjectives. She was fascinated by the performance of femininity, and her works often feature showgirls, trapeze artists, and dolls. Now, I'm not sure about her. Eileen Chang. It says fate. Outside forces, events falling into place, and acceptance. Eileen Chang was born to an opioid-addicted traditional Chinese father and a westernized mother who learned to ski on bound feet. When 17 years old, Chang contracted dysentery. Her father dismissed her claims of her ill health and locked her up in a bedroom for 6 months. She escaped with the help of her nurse. Witty and stylish, Chang was famous in Shanghai for her fiction about troubled romance and family betrayal. Though she died as a recluse in Los Angeles, her work remains popular and beloved in China. Agatha Christie. Trickery, suspicion, deception, the missing piece. Agatha Christie wrote nearly 70 detective novels, making her the most popular novelist in all of history. Taking place in British aristocrat world filled with luxury trains, handsome estates, and butlers, her books keep the readers guessing about the truth behind the murders until the shocking twists are revealed. Sandra Scenarios, I think I'm saying that right, The Body. I have not heard of her. It says joys of the body, sorrows of the body, and senses. Born as a working-class Chicago neighborhood to a Mexican father and a Mexican-American mother, Sandra Scenarios navigates the richness of both Mexican and American cultures. She vows to never marry, to always have a house of her own. Her most famous book, The House on Mango Street, a coming-of-age novel of saturated sensory vignettes, is taught in elementary schools and college alike. Make sure to check out her poetry, which asserts a healthy sexual, and her masterful short stories too. Another one of my favorites, Emily Dickinson. The Soul. Spiritual life, the inner world, the unknown. Emily Dickinson spent her whole life in Amherst, Massachusetts, refusing conventional religion and her prominent family exhausted social schedules. She instead cultivated a unique spiritual and social life. She wrote long letters to friends, worked in the garden, and created strikingly original poetry about God, death, pain, and love. When Dickinson died, even those closest to her were shocked to find her life works of 1,800 poems neatly folded in a drawer. This one I've not heard of either. Farah Farhad, Rebellion. Independence, barriers, and isolation. She wrote sensual, nature-rich poetry, placing her among Iran's greatest poets. Heavily criticized for resisting social norms. She divorced at 21 years of age. Was also the first Persian poet to write explicitly about sexuality. Worked as a documentary filmmaker. Check out the award-winning The House is Black, and adopted a son from a leper colony. Some believe that she prophesied her accidental early death in a car crash in the poem Let Us Believe in Beginning of the Cold Season. Janet Frame, another great one. Belongings. Bringing it home, being a stranger, knowing herself. Janet Frame was born to a large, poor family in New Zealand farm. Her brother
had epilepsy, and her 2 sisters drowned in adolescence. Misdiagnosed with schizophrenia, Frame spent most of her 20s in psychiatric wards, receiving 200 electroshock treatments and narrowly escaping a lobotomy. After her release, she pursued a solitary life and wrote autobiography fiction about hospitalization and the displaced self. Charlotte Perkins Gilman. Freedom. Another great. Oppression. What frees you? The systems at work. Charlotte Perkins Gilman is best known for The Yellow Wallpaper. Best story ever. Short story. A story inspired by the disastrous sexist rest cure prescribed for her postpartum depression. In her day, Gilman was also famous as a social critic, giving popular lectures on economic and social reform, and for her unconventional life choices. Her utopian novel and nonfictions are worth revisiting for their visions of cooperative society and the place of gender roles in economics. She's wonderful. Joy Harjo is the next one. Bravery. I'm not sure of who she is either. Plunging in. I've never read anything of hers. Making decisions and fear. Harjo, a common Greek nation name, means so brave she's crazy. Joy Harjo, apparently she's still alive. She was born in 1951. Courageously survived an oppressive childhood, teenage pregnancy, and domestic abuse before becoming a spiritually charged poet of wild nature imagery and urgent social activism, as well as an award-winning saxophonist, player, and singer. Okay, that's just giving you some. I'm not going to read all of these guys because this video is going to go on forever if I do. Because there's probably there's quite a few more cards. So we're just going to go Zora Neale Hurston. Story. Your story, the stories of others. Listening. Shirley Jackson. Great family. Domestic pleasures, domestic horrors, partnerships, and children. She was famous for the lottery. Jamaica Kincaid. History, lineage, the past, deep time. Kemal Kurahashi. I'm not sure who she is either. Transformation. Masks. Becoming. Play. It says a badass and experimental fiction from Koshi is almost entirely known among English speakers. Influenced by Kafka and French literature. Kurahashi's stories feature ghosts, flying heads, witches, masks, incest, and bestiality. Her works will completely freak you out and provoke you with the fairy tale logic and philosophical underbelly. Boy, I have to read her. I love anything scary. Audrey Lord. justice. Fighting for yourself, your values, your community. Born in New York City to West Indian parents, Audrey Lord proudly proclaimed herself as a Black lesbian feminist. As an activist and essayist, she was outspoken about racism, sexism, and homophobia. In addition to these themes, her work is populated with mothers, children, sisters, anger, cancer, and erotica, unicorns, snails, eating dead snakes, witches, fire, and the importance of refusing silence, period. Huh. Mirabai, I think that's how you say it. Devotion. She was a princess. She wrote intense, erotic, devotional poetry to the gods, whom she thought of as her lover. To read some of her stuff. I've never read any of her stuff. Toni Morrison. Love, love, love. Power. Owning power. Seizing power. The power of play. No American writer is more honor-laden than regal Toni Morrison. She's still alive. She was born in 1931. Who was born to a working-class family in Lorien, Ohio. A frequent setting for her epic novels of Black experience. Her most famous work, Beloved, has become required reading, but wave the unjust homework or away. Seeking this novel for the haunted story it is, a deeply spooky and moving story about a vengeful baby ghost. Anais Nin, The Subconscious. The Unexplored, Submerging, Surfacing. It's hard not to read these to you guys because they're so fascinating. Another favorite, Flannery OConnor, Humanity. Who We Are, Reckoning with Value, Redemption. She wrote a lot of Catholic stories and wrote about the Deep South, Georgia. Says here that she populated, she had more than 40 peacocks on her property. Alexandria Pizarnik, Solitude. I haven't heard of her. Silence, Interiority, and Space. She was born to Russian Jewish parents in Argentina. She was educated in Yiddish and Spanish, but wrote in Spanish. That's probably why I haven't heard of her. She wrote about her own struggle with depression. Led to an intentional overdose at the age of 36. Sylvia Plath, The Dark. Oops. Sorry, guys. Living in the Dark, Intensity, Fury. She ended her life by putting her head in the oven. Maria Sabatini. Healing. What ails you? Seeking help. Helping others. She helped people that couldn't write. She lived in poverty in the mountains of South Mexico. She was is considered one of the greatest shaman poets, or wise one. She improvised her chants during ceremonies, performed to heal the sick. Her rich spiritual vision was informed by native Maztec beliefs as well as the Catholic faith. Safrole. Love, the beloved, desire, taking flight. Safrole was before Plato and Homer. Let me look here. It says 630 to 570 BCE. Literary star of ancient Greece. And the first female homoerotic poet. It says here only a few fragments remain. Mary Shelley. Loss. The cycle of life. Transitions. Attachment. Frankenstein isn't the garnished zombie story we've seen in popular cultures. Inspired by scientific discussions of the day and the complex feelings Mary Shelley had about parenting, Frankenstein is a painful tale about the creation of life and what happens to stunned, abandoned children. Her life was as harrowing as her famous novel. Her greatest losses of her mother, feminist Mary Wollstonecraft, husband, poet Percy Shelley, and her 3 children tried her ideals of domestic harmony. Leslee More Marmon Silko. Of Pueblo Mexican, European and Cherokee ancestry. Identifies most with Laguna Pueblo culture, which holds a vital belief in the universe, interconnectedness. She worked the tensions between the Southwest, diverse communities, and methods of healing. Her breakout novel, Ceremony, about a young half-Pueblo, half-white man trying to recover from the services of World War II, attracted a major spotlight to Native American literature. 2 more of those ones. Gertrude Stein. Perspective. Making sense frames new ways of seeing. Gertrude Stein hosted a popular Paris salon, home to a staggering collection of modern art and famous visitors. Hemingway, Fitzgerald, Picasso, and so on. Influenced by the racial painter she supported, Stein set out to create cubism in writing. She stripped her poems of narrative and logic, playing instead with spatial relationships
and process. She shared her life and her romantic partner and secretary, Alice B. Toklas. Toklas? Toklas. Another favorite, Virginia Woolf. Vision. Developing a vision. Innovation. Limitations. Virginia Woolf helped usher in a major new literary movement with her stream of conscious fiction, which focus intensely on the experience of awareness and moves fluidly among the inner lives of its characters. Her personal life, child-free, sexuality liberated, and incisive feminist essays were no less radical. After a lifelong struggle with mental illness, Woolf puts stones in her pocket and steps into the river near her Sussex home. Okay, now we're going to go into the witch's material. Okay, these are really short, guys. So we have the apple, which is the senses, hunger, and sex. Bees, togetherness, work, treasures. The boar, danger, aggression, masculinity. Book, hope, revelation, and ignorance. Braid, identity, survival, the opinions of others. The cat, the untamed, self-ownership, and watching. The cauldron, creativity, the rich broth, surprising yourself. Chicken, the cackle, ancient, past, and lore. I love that, the cackle. Creature's pause, the others, friendship, and forgiveness. Doll, illusion, old wounds, and childhood. Eel, what lurks, electricity, dishonesty. Elixir, health, toxicity, and attending. Eye, seeking answers, seeing clearly, paying attention. Ghost, memories, what haunts you, unfinished business. I love these cards. They're just plain but straight to the point. Money, status, and complacency. Hedgehog, vulnerability, hiding the heart, tenderness. House, stability, stagnation, family. Knife, intentions, conflict, resolution. Can you guys see that in the cards when I'm reading these? Because I can just picture that in my head as I'm seeing these cards and the images. Lantern, for guidance, instinct, and trust. Lion, shining, mastery, strength. Milk, nourishment, parents, nostalgia. Moon, surrender,
mystery, looming change. Mushrooms, quiet growth, the hidden, and peace. This one's anxiety, threat, and self-sabotage. So true. Peacock. Splendor, the divine, and craving. These also be great altar cards. Pond. Looking inward. Inspiration, uncertainty. Praying mantis. Wit, manipulation, and fun. The rabbit. Waiting, making leaps, and adventure. Skull. Transitions, reality, and grief. Snail. Taking your time. The sacred fragility. The spider. Focus, planning, and digesting. Teacup. Ease, rest, small mind. Toad. Humor, the grotesque, and joy. Tree. I love this. Wisdom, good roots, connection. Volcano. Patience, repression, and lust. Wall. Protection, obstacles, boundaries. White dress. Appearances, society, gender. Wildflowers. Renewal, romance, awakening. Wings. Wishes, ambitions, wandering. Wolf. The self within others. A calling, the great expanse. You guys, I absolutely love this deck. I can't wait to work with it more. I wanted to do the walkthrough before I started working with it. But I cannot wait to dig my hands into this deck. It is absolutely amazing to me. I hope you guys like this video. Please subscribe to my channel if you like this video. Give it a thumbs up. And I hope to see you guys next time. Bye, guys. I love you.